Hi, everyone. It's Jackie Martin again with A Matter of Motivation and Be More Learning. And I'm so excited to have my guest, Wes McCall. And one of the reasons, not just because he's a great leader in our community, but because he has been such an amazing supporter of our new student and parent program called Be More Learning. And I'm so glad to be able to talk to him just a little bit more about how he stays so positive. Welcome, Wes.
Well, thank you for having me. I think this is a great opportunity to reach out to the community. And I want to thank you and your team of wonderful leaders who have reached out to these students and really have helped them become leaders in our society. And just the excitement that I witnessed over the last year has been really great. And you've built confidence into these students. So thank you for what you guys have been doing.
Oh, you know what? That warms my heart. I really, that word confidence, that's huge. But before we dig into that, because I do want to ask you a couple questions about that. Tell everybody a little bit more about what you do, maybe a little bit about your family, your work, the business you're with. Tell us a little more about you.
Yeah, so I've been on the Forsyth County School Board for going on 2 years now. So I'm midterm, as we have 4-year terms. And one of the things that got me involved is that I've always was involved in my son's education. I was always in the classroom, always helping, and I really thought about like, well, if I can do so much good in the classroom, then maybe I could do good for the community by being a part of a board member and kind of looking at the 30,000 foot view is what we like to refer to of the school system. And it's been amazing. It really has. I've had some great opportunities to help a lot of people, and I've learned a lot. Learned a lot about public education. I learned a lot about the principals and their leadership, their teachers, what they have to deal with. It's crazy because you go into these classrooms and the way a teacher maybe interacts with a first grader is different than they interact with a 12th grader. And so to be able to make that adjustment and watch that, it's helped me as a person and helped me as a father and a husband too. So that's been great. We have one son. He's a freshman at West Forsyth High School. And so this past year, the last couple of months have been challenging with him and trying to keep him positive and keep him motivated. And then I have a lovely wife, Jakima, who also helped at Be More, is in the insurance business. And she has just been passionate. My wife and I have been involved in youth through church for the last 20 years. And so we just really involved the thing about the youth and what I see as a board member and some of the things that we have created at Forsyth Central, we created Community Conversation, which is a podcast where we bring in community leaders to come in and talk to the students about what's going on in the community and how they can be involved in the community. And the reason being is because not only they are our students, our future, but we want our students to go away for college, whatever they need to do, whatever the next path is. But then when it's time to settle down, have a family, come back to Forsyth County. Come back where their roots are and continue to keep Forsyth County going the way it is now. And so it's so important for us to kind of, help our students realize that.
Well, I love that, and I can tell your passion for students by the way you interact with, and the fact that you stepped up. It isn't easy to step into any kind of public service position, but to do it, to be able to help pave a way for the students is just an amazing thing. And so, just a minute ago, you talked about confidence. How important is that, do you think, in a student or even just in any person's development?
Oh, I think it's key. And for an adult going through it, there are certain situations where I'm not 100% confident and I always find myself hesitating. And so when I'm very confident, I don't hesitate. I just go right in and get things done. And so there's a big difference there. And so I think you have to have your confidence. And to have confidence, you got to know that people are around you and trust in you, and they want you to be involved and they feel like you can do it. And so I think that's important for our students, and it's important for our teachers to help our students to say, hey, look, you can do this. We trust you. We support you. We're around you. just go do it. Just be confident. There's an awesome organization or program out there. It's called Seek Discomfort. And that's been my motto for 2020. So I think it's seek
Well,
discomfort.
I think you've done it now. I think we've gotten there, right, with
Right.
2020.
And so I think it's like seekdiscomfort.org or something like that. But basically, they just strive to get people to seek discomfort. And when you seek discomfort, you gain confidence and you gain success and you grow as a person. And so that has really been my, actually my family's motto, the McCall motto for 2020 is seek discomfort. And if we feel like something that we don't do, then we're like, okay, I know we're not comfortable doing it. I know we don't have confidence, but let's go do it. Let's go jump right into it. And we've been doing that, and it's been a lot of fun.
Well, I bet that has really helped you in light of all the things that are going on right now, is just to recognize that being in the comfort zone isn't always the best place to be, because you don't grow there necessarily. It's comfy, but you don't grow there. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, I've also found that there are going to be probably some situations out there that might push you into your comfort zone that you weren't prepared for.
Hmm.
And if you look at those things and say, hey, is this going to make me better or is this going to make me worse? How am I going to come out of this? And so you look at it as an opportunity to grow so that when you come out of it, you are a better person.
So, okay, so with all that, I love all of that, and would love to ask all students, okay, what do you want to come out of after all of this turmoil is over, and whenever that is? Somebody asked me once, they said, well, who do you want to be when you come out of it? And I thought, wow, what a question. First off, we should always be asking ourselves that, right? But who do we want to be as a result of what we're going through right now? So I ask you, well, it sounds like you might have already been thinking about those kinds of things. What's come up for you there?
Yeah. So one of my favorite leadership gurus is Simon Sinek.
Mm.
And Simon Sinek is just wonderful. And he actually released a Zoom call with his staff. And it's really neat. And maybe, we should, if you want to search it, I think it's Simon Sinek, Zoom call or something like that. But basically, he talks about now is the opportunity for you to do something different.
Mm.
What we're going to be doing in the future is going to be different. And the ones that are going to come out of it better are the ones that are looking at different ways of doing your job, different ways of maybe commuting to work. You're not commuting to work. Now you're doing it at home, but different ways of doing that. And I think the best example is in our community is you look at the restaurants. How many restaurants were brick and mortar? They had a dining area and that's all they knew. Well, another word that, and we were talking about this earlier, that I've heard recently a lot of is pivot. In the
Mm-hmm.
business world, you have to be able to pivot, and that's what they've done. And so those students who are thinking about how they can come out of this better and how they can change things or how they're doing things different that might be better for them, they're going to excel and they're going to do better. I think the other thing that students need to realize is that they got to really still continue to focus on the end in mind. And that's what we all have to focus. If you have a goal, you might not be able to achieve your goal now, or you might not be able to go in the direction that you want to finish to get to your goal. You might have to go around in a different way. And I think that's the way that students need to look at this, is that keep the end in mind. If you still want to go to college, you can still do that. If you want to be a mechanic, still do those things. You can go to YouTube and find all kinds of videos on how to be a mechanic and really replace any part you want on your vehicle. It's not learning from a teacher. It might not be hands-on right now, but you can still learn. And so I think that it's always keep the end in mind, stay focused, and yes, you have to pivot sometimes. And this is a great example of having to pivot.
Yeah, I read something somewhere where they said, flexibility is going to be the key to survival. And that's in so many realms, right? Business realms, like you talked about restaurants, but also just personally being able to be, and that was one of the things we really tried to teach students in Be More, was about resiliency. So this is pop-up positivity, and we're trying to stay focused on that positivity. So how important do you think that whole resiliency is now?
Yeah, it's all about your mind and what you're going to think, and you have to remain positive. And I think for what's worked for me and what I like to share with people is I always find three things that are very important to me, and I put those as my priorities. So it could either be, for me personally, it's my relationship with God. I want to make number one. Two is my family is number two, and I will do whatever we can to be a family. And then three is just my integrity and make sure that's always intact. And so, to stay positive and always looking forward, that I always say, hey, those three things are my most important. Yes, something might be going wrong right here, right now, and it's hard, but those three things are so important to me that they keep me positive, that I keep moving forward. And that in itself will make what's ever difficult a little bit more easier.
Now, it's interesting because you are, and maybe people don't know this, you're in the restoration business. And that's almost like a crisis management business to be able to help people through, times of real crisis. We had a flood at our house, and that just disrupted things terrible. So how much of all this do you bring into your work?
Yes. So in my work, we deal with customers that are going through a tough time. They just had a life-changing event that just changed their daily lives, just like what we've experienced over the last couple of months. And so you have to tell them, one, that it's going to be okay. And then basically what we like to refer to as, and this is what students can do is, especially for their friends or for somebody else that's going through something like this, is be the guide them. If you think about what a job of a guide is, the guide is to help somebody, if it's a coach or whatever they're guiding, to get them through a situation or to better themselves. And so that's the way we do it in the restoration business is we want to be the guide for these people. We want to sit down with them, explain to them, hey, look, yes, it was a traumatic event. Yes, we can get you through this. These are the steps that we're going to guide you through. And we're here for you. We want to give you our hand and help you. We've been through this. We experienced this. So whatever you have, be open about it and ask us questions about it. And then we kind of set some expectations of when it's going to be done and kind of help them. And it comes back to the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We got to make sure that everybody has their needs covered, and that's what we do.
I love that notion of a guide, and I love that notion of sort of assuming that position as in any situation, whether you're a student or whether you're an adult or a parent or a business owner. If you're saying, okay, I'm going to help guide people through, even if I don't know everything, I can still lead others. And I think even in this pandemic, recognizing that younger people aren't as vulnerable leaves them to be able to do things for other people because they are not as at greater risk. And so I just wonder if this generation, we're going to find some amazing young people stepping up and guiding when they might not have before, but they might now. What do you think about that?
No, absolutely. And I think we go back to education, public education. And, that was a big shift of being in a classroom to now going to online. And it wasn't easy for students. It wasn't easy for teachers. And it wasn't really easy for parents either. And so I think that moving forward, what does public education look like? I think there's still a lot of unknown when it comes right to COVID-19, but I think that there's going to be a lot of new approaches, new equipment, new technology coming out because of this. And it's going to be from our students. We have parents that say, hey, look, I think you need this technology, you need this technology. Well, our students are going to tell us what technology they need. They talk a lot about students being able to social and being able to connect with kids. And it was really hard for them during this time. Well, I know from my son, they've actually been innovative in how to use their technology to get together as a group. I mean, he has the iPhone and he'll have 20 people on a Zoom from kids and students in his classroom, and they're all talking and having a good time. And so they've learned ways to adapt. So I think that I think you're going to see students now, and we've actually seen students in our our county are already doing that. They have some students who have created the mask through 3D printing. We had
Yes.
students step up and do that. And so, yes, absolutely, we're going to see it. And actually, what inspires me the most is that I think I can learn and we can learn from those students.
Mm.
And yes, they're younger than us, but they have a certain knack when it comes to technology. And that's what's going to be the future.
Boy, I agree with you. And I feel as though, too, very much like what we used to think the greatest generation was, that they had sacrificed and they were through a hardship and uncertainty because of the war and depression and things like that. Things that we might have looked at our most recent generations and saying, they're lacking some of that kind of stuff because they've had it too easy. Well, along comes our current situation. It just makes me, I'm sad that we've had to go through all this or are going through all this, but golly, we're all getting, and including our newest generation, an education in all kinds of compassion, dealing with scarcity. How do you deal with be more resilient? How do you deal with uncertainty? More than any other generation except the greatest generation. I
Right.
wonder if that's actually going to make these students and the millennials and Gen Z even better than we could have imagined. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so too. I think that you're going to see where, my father's generation, that, the baby boomer generation, they worked all the time. That work was their passion. And so they worked Monday through Friday, 10, 12-hour days. They just needed to focus on work. And, it's not that the new generation doesn't want to work, but they're going to be more efficient in the way they do things. And you think about, like, for me, who is invited to attend a lot of the meetings during the day, I can't be everywhere. Well, now with Zoom and what we've been doing, I can almost attend all those meetings and been taking advantage of that. And I actually can feel like, that a lot of people could get half their work done half the day,
Yeah.
and so I think that it's not that they're going to work less. I think it's going to be they're going to work smarter,
Yeah.
and they're going to get things done a little bit more efficient. They might even be bringing in the 4-day work week, so that they can, have longer weekends, because that's what we're going to see from that generation.
I love that. Yeah. I think the priorities are much more focused on who they want to be and the experiences in life, probably much more so than attaining a big house or lots of stuff. We see a lot of they're wanting to experience life in a different way and are willing to sacrifice some of the money stuff in order to experience life. And that could be fabulous.
Yep.
Love it. Love it. Okay, so I have one more question that I ask everybody, and really is because a friend of mine asked me whenever challenges come up, whenever things I might complain about, she would ask me, "What if it's better?" And it's kind of a philosophy, I guess. But when you hear that question maybe put to you about this circumstance or any, what comes up for you?
Yeah, I think that that's an excellent question that should be asked a lot. The problem, I think, that is that sometimes asking that question comes with patience and trying to
Mm.
wait for the actual answer. We always want to make it better. What if it is better? And it will be better the more you ask that question. And once you feel like you've gotten it to where it needs to be, then that's when it's better. But
Mm.
to take the time and the patience to do that, there's a lot of times where in my job where I have to write articles and things, and I don't ever start off with writing the article and be done with it. I always start off with, all right, here's an outline of my notes. Then I put my notes together. Then I read it, and then I say, okay, what if it's better? And then I take in there and I make it better. Then I go to it and say, okay, now what would make it better? And do that several times, and it might take a week or two before you get there, but never, always ask that question and have the patience till you see it to the end.
I love that. I love that. That's the first time I've heard it put that way. I think that's really great. And part of it is just keep asking it in all
Yep.
circumstances, because in order to come up with the answer, you have to imagine it. That's part of the
Yep.
beauty of it. Well, Wes, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you so much for all you do for Be More, but also for your time and just sharing your notes of positivity. Is there anything you can want us to know about how we might be able to get a hold of you or your organization?
Yeah, so anytime you guys want to get in hold with me, you can go to the Forsyth County Board of Education website, and my cell phone number is on there, my email's on there. I have a Facebook page that we like to push a lot of information out about what's going on with the school system in our community. One of the things that we're going to be working on is that's really passionate to my heart and to kind of keep positivity happening in our community is the homeless youth population in Forsyth County. A lot of people don't realize that there are 700 youth in our community that are homeless and don't have a consistent home every night to go to. And we actually kind of figured that out over the last couple of months with not being able to go to school and things like that. And so, that's going to be a really big push for me is to, as a positive community, as pushing forward, how can we make it better for those 700 students? So my Facebook page is a good platform for that. And just anytime anybody needs to call me, my phone number is on there. And it is my pleasure that I have the opportunity to serve some great people in Forsyth County, to include all the great students.
Wes, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for all the work that you do. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for being here and sharing another episode, interview with Pop-Up Positivity. We just hope you continue to stay positive out there, and we'll see you next time.